And hello, everybody. Welcome into a Wednesday episode of Running Point on ysnlive.com, brought to you by our good friends over at Greenwood Chevrolet in Austintown. It's Wednesday. You know what that means. Wrestling Wednesday. We're in episode 5 with Gary Althiser, our wrestling guru, and the head coach of the Wellsville Wrestling Squad. To my right, down below, you have Scotty Mentor, and we have a very special guest today, as we try to do every week. And from Hubbard, a new member of the 100 Wins Club, Alex Hackwelder. Alex, thanks for coming on, buddy.
Yeah, of course, man. Thanks for having me. It means a lot.
You got it. I mean, I guess the first question is let's just talk about the 100 wins and what that felt like to get that accomplishment. I know you worked so hard to get this. So what was it like to finally get that and to be able to celebrate it?
Yeah, absolutely. It was awesome. It's one of the milestones you work for as soon as you start your freshman year. So, I've been eyeing that up since even last year, kind of counting up the wins till then. And, I finally was able to do it on Friday in Fitch. So that was just a really nice feeling, especially to be there, have my team around me and my family around me to see that happen.
Hey, Alex, every great wrestler has a great training partner. Who do you drill with, and what does your drilling partner bring to you as a wrestler?
Well, actually, right now I'm working with a couple different guys. Primarily, right now it's Benjamin Logan. He's our 190, and he does a great job pushing me every day. And then we also get some other guys in there. Some Peyton Corals you might be familiar with. He wrestled at Fitch. He actually helps coach now, so I get some working with him too. He's a little heavier than me, so that helps out a little bit. And I know you guys interviewed Nick Bowser last year, so you're familiar with him. Also, roll around with him every once in a while. So it's a nice to get different feels and get some different guys here and there because especially at 175, there's a lot of different weight. There's a lot of different ways kids can be built, different body types. So to work with different guys and get different feels is really important to me, and I really appreciate all those guys that come in and donate some extra time to help me out.
Speaking of Nick Bowser, last year when we interviewed him, he said he was talking about how this Hubbard program has really raised the bar. They had new goals last year they wanted to accomplish in the program, and they got all the ones that they wanted to get. What's it like now as you, the next year after Nick graduates, to keep raising the bar and keep setting the standard for this Hubbard program that is really on the rise and starting to do things that they've never done before in the program's history?
Yeah, I think it's just really important to carry on what we learned from those guys last year. Bowser, especially Luke Cease, especially those guys. Noah Adamson, they were all great leaders last year to us, and they were a big reason why this program is improving and being very successful. So I think, especially me and our other senior Brady Balla, Ben Logan, those guys, we really got to do our part to fill in and fill those shoes that they kind of left behind last year. And I think it's really important to recognize what they put in last year and what a great job they did leading us last year and trying to do our best to replicate that.
Alex, what are your goals personally for this year? I know that I'm sure you want to be atop the podium in Columbus come March, but do you have any other goals, and do you and your teammates have goals for your team?
Yeah, we do actually. So actually kind of starts today. We have the NEA duels, so that's something we're eyeing up from the beginning of the year is the to bring home another Northeast State championship, and that starts with all of us, but including me too. So I know one of my goals is to do my part tonight and win every match and get as many points as I can and help my team out there. And like you said, another goal of mine is to be on the podium there at the state championships. But I guess another goal that maybe isn't as measurable is just trying to leave behind like the best mark I can possible, and not only do my work on the mat, but outside of that with my teammates and stuff, helping out and being the best leader I can be. So I kind of want to leave a positive mark on the program and be remembered as somebody that wasn't just good on the mat, but helped out his teammates as well and did everything he can for just the program, not just myself.
To expand on leaving the mark, talk about some things that you want to teach the younger kids and some of the legacies that you want to leave, you and the senior class. Like if we ask next year's team, what it was like to be your teammate. What kind of things do you think that they want? Or what kind of things do you want them to say? What kind of answers would you like to hear?
Well, I'd hope that they at least, think I'm a likable guy, and I'd want them to be comfortable with me, to say they're comfortable with me, coming to me with any questions they have, especially the younger guys. What move works in this situation? What do you do in this situation? Those are questions that I, try to help out and answers the best I can, and I kind of want to show them that. You don't always have to be the best at everything necessarily to be successful. I don't think I'm the strongest guy or the fastest guy or maybe the most in conditioned guy, but I still think I'm pretty successful on the mat. So I just want to show them that it's not all about, just that, but, if you put it all together, you can go real far with it, and, trust in the plan and all that. So I hope they look up to me, and, you know, um, that I can set a good path for them and show them what's possible. Not, if that makes sense. Yeah.
Alex, I have one question for you. I was just wondering for you, and it seems like you're very like goal driven, goal oriented. Like I think a lot of wrestlers. I was just wondering. It obviously you got to be good physically and mentally, but is there one that's more important to you? Like if I'm just a little sharper mentally, I'll get away with maybe not being at elite shape all the time physically. Is there one that's more imperative to you than the other, or how do you view that?
I think they go hand in hand. I think that's a great point, though. I think, being sharp and mentally prepared is just as important as the physical aspect of it. And I think, that's where I have to give some credit to my coaches and the guys around me. They do a great job setting a plan and working on the, we're not just drilling when we're in the room. We're thinking of, how am I going to string certain moves together? What's going to work against certain, wrestlers and wrestling types. So yeah, I think that is a good point to bring up, is that it's not just the physical aspect necessarily, but there's also a mental side of it, and being prepared mentally as well as physically.
Uh, Alex, it's one of the things I think people who've never wrestled before don't understand is how mental the sport is. And actually, if you're not mentally right, it doesn't matter how physically in shape you are, how strong you are. If your mind's not in it, it doesn't matter. I've seen it a million times. You've seen it a million times. Guys who look physically superior to somebody who just looks like a normal guy going out there, but that guy's mind's right. He's confident. He knows what he wants to do, and he knows how to do it. He doesn't second guess himself. How do you get mentally prepared? We've talked to a lot of wrestlers. We have some people who listen to music, and some who don't. Some who like to be quiet and go off to themselves. What is it that you like to do, and how do you get mentally prepared?
Yeah, so I actually am one of the guys that listens to music, if you were wondering. But another thing I like to focus on is, especially when I was younger, I'd be very nervous from a match, worried about the outcome. What's going to happen if I lose? I need to win this match. It's so important to me. But now I'm trying to think more of, wrestling is something that we do for fun, right? Like, it's not supposed to be something overbearing. Like, yeah, I want to accomplish these things, but at the end of the day, it's a sport, and I'm just trying my best to go have fun. So I think going into the match, what I'm trying to think about is, I'm just going to go enjoy this sport that I love. I'm going to give it my best, of course, but I'm just going to go have fun and do it for the love of the sport. And I think that kind of helps me to settle down a little bit and put it into perspective that, it's just a sport, and I'm just going out there to have fun. And I think that really helps me out.
I like that you brought up the love of the sport, because I want to talk about your journey in wrestling, how you kind of got into it, and what made you fall in love with the sport.
Yeah, so to be honest, I started when I was real young. I want to say around like first or second grade, and actually all throughout like grade school, even middle school. I actually really didn't like it. I wasn't a very big fan of it. I wasn't very good, to be honest with you. And then that kind of turned around like my freshman year. I really started to. I thought it was interesting the way you could see. Uh, Anybody can win any match on any given day, especially at the higher levels. And at that, that kind of got me excited. Like, wow, like I can beat anybody. Like if I really put my work into this, I can be great. So I really started putting in some more work. Started doing some club practices, and around ninth, 10th grade, I started to really enjoy it. And then these past couple years have just been a blast, and it's been a really important part of my life.
Every week, I ask the same question. Every wrestler has cut weight. Every wrestler has had to watch what they're eating. And every wrestler after weigh-ins has some go-to foods. We've heard it all, haven't we, Anthony? We've heard pomegranates and
Everything.
pickles. We've heard Chipotle for breakfast.
Chipotle.
Yeah. What is it that Alex does after, let's say it's been kind of a tough week with your weight? You weigh in. What's the first thing you go for?
Well, I'll tell you what, I drive right down to Belmont Ave, and I'm either hitting Wendy's for a Baconator or I'm stopping at Chipotle. So those are my go-tos right there. I'm sure you probably got those ones before, but
I don't think we've gotten Wendy's, but we've
no
The
definitely
Wendy's.
gotten
All
Baconator
right,
is a
all right,
new.
I'll
That's the
take that.
first.
Yeah,
Yeah.
man, the Baconator, that's my stuff right there.
I like we're spreading out the fast food chains.
I added a new one then.
In case any
Yep,
of them want to ever
new one.
sponsor us, we're shouting them all out. Some people have had McDonald's breakfast, but Wendy's, Baconator, let's go.
All right, I'll take it.
I want to talk about just getting through long days of wrestling. It's well documented. You could show up early in the morning and not be done until the evening when you're talking about wrestling. How do you get through the long days and just a mental and physical grind of a long wrestling meet?
Yeah, I think anybody that wrestled will tell you that wrestling is probably have the hardest practices, and I agree with that. And I think something that really helps me is it's easy to focus on the discomfort and the pain you're in, at that present moment. But what I always learned is to focus on your vision, not your circumstance. So I like to focus on what I'm really working towards. That's what I need to have in my mind when it's those hard days, those hard drills, those hard runs. I'm thinking about what I'm working towards at the very end of the year, and I don't want to finish the year with no regrets. I don't want to look back and think, man, I probably could have pushed myself a little harder in some of these practices. So I think that helps me out on those hard days just to keep pushing and to remember what it's really all about.
So you were a successful football player, and I would imagine, just like all football players that wrestle, you think wrestling helped, help make you a better football player, but also teaching you a lot of things about life. I know as a wrestling coach, I hear it all the time. Kids that have potential in wrestling, they say they want to focus on football. Can you talk about the sport? Did it make you a better football player? And if so, how? And has it affected any other parts of your life?
Yeah, absolutely. I think wrestling is just such a strong base. I think not just for football, but for any sport. It teaches balance. Builds a good base. Just I think some of the best athletes on the planet are wrestlers, and you can see because you're put in so many different positions, and you learn so many different body movements, and like it's just all body control. So I think that has helped me a lot through football. I used to play baseball. I think it helps there. I think it can help anybody really in any sport, and I think it's something that I don't like to hear the excuse like, oh, I'm just gonna focus on football. Like I think wrestling will help you if anything more than just hitting the gym or whatever. Like I think wrestling's really gonna help you with anything you do.
So we're talking about your football career. You had a lot of success this season specifically, kind of put your name on the map during the football season. How much confidence did that give you in wrestling? Did you walk into wrestling season with a little bit of swagger, a little bit of confidence, knowing that you kind of had a really successful football season and you wanted to kind of continue that momentum?
Yeah, absolutely. I think in the back of my mind, I was thinking, yeah, I'm a state placer, and then I already started my my senior year on the right foot with this past football season. Like I know I can compete with the best athletes in the area, the best athletes in the state. So that really helped me to keep that confidence and keep it rolling through wrestling season. And sometimes it's something that even I struggle with is confidence sometimes. So it's nice to look back and see that I'm not only good in one sport, I can do it on the football field as well. So having that extra little bit to look back to is really helpful and really helps me stay confident.
We have to ask you about your future before we let you go. When you graduate Hubbard, what kind of things do you see after high school that you want to accomplish? What are some goals that you have for the future?
It's a good question. I get that a lot. As of right now, I'm not 100% sure. I know that I'm probably gonna attend a 4-year college, probably wrestle or play football, and I'm thinking I'm probably gonna major in something engineering probably, and I think I'm gonna be able to carry the lessons I learned like through wrestling and through football with me, and keep that perseverance and that discipline. And I think whatever I decide to do, I think those lessons that I carry with me are gonna help me a lot. So I definitely plan to do that in whatever I pursue later in my future. So
I know that you guys have had a lot of success as a team, and everybody thinks about the sport as an individual sport, but I think there's something changes in a wrestling room when the team starts doing well all together. Have you seen that with your guys' success that you're having? Is there a different mindset in the room? Everybody's knows that they matter. Everybody knows they contribute, because to win a tournament in wrestling, it's got to be everybody contributing. Do you think that that's helped the mindset with your team in the room during practice?
yeah, absolutely. I think you can tell guys are definitely pushing each other harder and doing their best to give other guys the best look possible. And like I said earlier, another thing that I see a lot is like our guys are starting to have a lot of fun with it now. Like I just remember the other day at Fitch, it was the semifinal round, and I see my brother hit a head and arm in the semifinal to go to the championship, and that kind of got me in the mood. Like that kind of got me primed for my match in the semifinals, and then I ended up winning and making the championship too. So it's nice to see all the guys competing, and you watch the guy in front of you give it his all and do something great, and that kind of gets me fired up. Like, hey, I want to go out and do my best, and I think it's the same for the other guys when they see that. So it's nice when you can feel that bonding and that support that you have behind you, and I think that really makes a difference.
Alex, we
Nothing
in the
easier
player
to get
profile.
you hyped up than a head and arm, that's for sure.
Yeah,
No,
yeah, I was excited when I saw that, especially that's my little brother seeing that. It
Mhm.
was pretty exciting.
got to go, one up him a little bit, right? Next one. Okay, you
Yeah,
can do it. I can do it too, little bro. Uh,
yeah.
Alex, we end these player profiles the same way every time. We want to give the athlete the chance to take the limelight off themselves for a little bit, shine on the people in their life that have got them to where they are. So I want to give you the time to give out shout outs and thank yous to the people that you think you wouldn't be where you are without.
Yeah, absolutely. First and foremost, my teammates, each and every one of them, just for the support and pushing me in the room. I couldn't be anywhere without them. So it starts with them. So I really appreciate them. As well as that, I got to thank all my coaches, not just this year, but throughout my whole entire wrestling career. I've had a lot of good coaches in the past. So they set me up with all the tools I need to be successful. So I really appreciate each and every one of them for that. And finally, my family, not just my immediate family, my distant family as well, my aunts, uncles, grandparents, um, I can always feel their support. They're always there watching, congratulating me, consoling me when something goes wrong. So, I hope they know that they're all very important to me, and they all mean a lot to me. And to feel them supporting me and to know they're watching just kind of gives me that extra boost sometimes when it's a little tough. And I hope they know that they're a great inspiration to me, and I really appreciate each and every one of them.
Alex, we want to thank you so much for coming on, talking to us. We know you're in the middle of the day. We appreciate you taking your time. We wish you the best of luck the rest of this year, man, and we can't wait to talk to you real soon.
Yeah, absolutely. Thanks again for having me on, guys. I really appreciate it. Like what you guys are doing here, and I, hope to keep up with it and keep watching you guys in the future.
All right, thanks,
Thanks,
buddy.
Alex. Good luck.
Yep.
Alex Hackwelder from Hubbard joining us. Gary, after every interview, we kind of ask you what your takeaways were. What were some of the things that you pulled from that interview that you really liked?
He's soaking it all in. I mean, you could see that he's been around the sport for a while, and he knows this is temporary. He knows this is his senior year. He knows he doesn't have much longer, and he's soaking in these last few months, these last 6 weeks of the regular season. I love what he said, that he doesn't want to look back and have any regrets. I can't tell you. Everybody knows people who did some sport in high school, didn't put in 100%. And they still regret it to this day that they didn't just leave it all out there, no matter what sport they're playing. They could have done better. They had more potential, and they didn't live up to it because they didn't try. They didn't give 1,000%. They didn't get their mind into it. They didn't practice as hard as they could. They just didn't show up the way that they know they could or believe they could. It sounds like he's showing up and he's giving 100%, and he's not going to have any regrets. He's not going to have to think back on anything because he's doing everything he can now to be successful.
Gary, we have the EOWL to recap from last weekend. Obviously, a big weekend in local wrestling. What were some of the big takeaways from the weekend in Austintown, Fitch?
Well, it was a close one. Louisville came away with the championship with 243 team points, but right on their tail was Austintown Fitch at 234.5. So you're just talking about the difference of, a couple wins and losses that would have flipped here or there. That could have been a difference there. Canfield came in third at 213, Salem at 193, Beaver 159.5, and South Range at sixth. And then Hubbard was at ninth, rounding out the YSN schools here. It was another great tournament, a lot of great wrestling, a lot of state-ranked kids we saw wrestle. It just continued on to be one of the best league tournaments in the state, and it's a great one to have right about the middle of the season to kind of test you, see where you're at, and know what you got to work on to head into the postseason, which, believe it or not, I think we got 5.5 weeks until sectionals.
We had all the finals on YSN. I don't know if you had the chance to kind of tune in at all, but I peeked in every now and then between basketball games. And what a competitive finals it was in the EOWL this year. I mean, I think that's the same every year. It's always kind of competitive in the finals when you get there. But this year, just a really good show to put on YSN during the finals down there at Fitch.
I didn't get a chance to watch. I was at a tournament with my team down in Bridgeport in Belmont County, way down south of the river there. But I was kind of checking out the brackets as I had a break, or if I didn't have a kid that wasn't wrestling. And that just doesn't surprise me that they were competitive. I looked at the scores. I saw there were some upsets. I saw just things played out like you'd thought in some of the weight classes. In other weight classes, things did not play out the way that you thought. That's every tournament, but when you get one with the amount of good wrestlers like this one, you're going to see upsets.
We can't pass over your weekend. How'd it go in Bridgeport? How'd your team do?
We did well as a team. As I said before, we're young and we're learning experience. We're getting our mat time. That's exactly what we did. We had a champion at 215 pounds at Leland Mont. The reason this was a big one for us was there were a lot of OVAC teams in this tournament, and that's where we're heading tomorrow to start the 3-day weekend at the OVAC tournament, the largest conference tournament in the country. We'll be heading to Wheeling tomorrow. So we needed to get some matches in with some of these OVAC wrestlers. We were able to do that. East Liverpool actually won the tournament. They had a great tournament. They look like they're getting back to 100%. They were able to come away with the championship. But for us personally, we got the mat time we needed for our young guys. We saw some of these OVAC opponents, and we're able to figure out some things we need to work on this week.
All right. We also want to give a shout out to the Poland girls. Ella Thomas with another championship. They went down to Akron North over the weekend, and there's a shocker. Ella Thomas winning another tournament down there. She's having a great season to kind of come back from that freshman year she had last year, putting her name on the scene. Also for Poland, they also had Abby Miller finish third at that Lady Vikings Invitational. So a great showing for the Bulldogs girls team. On the guys' side in the EOWL, they did have one placer during the weekend. It was Jake DeLuca. He finished fourth in the EOWL. He had a bracket of 25 wrestlers spanning 3 divisions. So EOWL, that just tells you how it's tough. You're not even focused on your own division. It can be any division, that you're going up against. So you could be a Division 3 wrestler wrestling against Division 1 guys in that tournament. So props to Poland. Thank you for reporting stats. We definitely appreciate anything we can get from these schools. Gary, what else did you see anything else over the weekend? It's kind of slow outside of the EOWL, wasn't it?
Yeah, it really was. There wasn't a whole lot going on. We got into this Bridgeport tournament we're in because another one we went to canceled. There's been several tournaments canceled this season, and probably because they knew a lot of teams knew EOWL was that weekend, at least in our area, at the YSN area. You don't want to schedule anything because you've got 30 teams, almost 30 teams out because they have to go to their league commitments. So there wasn't really much going on from Bridgeport to Austintown Fitch. I don't know that there was even one tournament in between there.
Since we last talked, I see that West Branch was in action last Thursday. They came back for their first time since back in the 2024 because they weren't in action yet. But they played Marlington in a duel. They lost 62-17 against the Dukes. They were at the EOWL. They finished 14th on the boys' side. They're going to be at Jackson Milton tonight. So that'll be something to look forward to. Those are two really good wrestling programs.
Yep, that's coming up. West Branch, Jackson Milton stepping up there. I mean, that's not an easy duel to take on when you're a Division III school, Jackson Milton size. So hats off to them for, asking the Warriors to come on in.
Yeah, I mean that when you talk about Jackson Milton a couple of years ago, that wouldn't have been a thing. They wouldn't have brought West Branch into a home duel. But now they've gotten their program to a point. They've raised the bar consistently, where that is something that they can do and expect to be competitive tonight as well.
Oh, yeah. Coach O'Brien's done a good job there. I don't know if this is something they do every year or not. I don't remember them wrestling, but, West Branch is a decent-sized Division II school. So when you're a Division III school, when you've got 50 to 60 kids per grade, boys and girls, it's tough to fill a whole team. And I'm sure West Branch is bringing a whole team, if not really close to it. So, stepping up in class.
On the girls' side for West Branch, they were in action against Marlington, just like the boys on Thursday. They got the win over the Dukes. 24-6 was the final in that duel. They had match winners from Grace Bates. They had Abigail Benner win a match, Brooklyn Stauffer, and Natalie Kiselinsky. They all won. All of them were by pin, and the girls held ahead to Akron North. They were at Akron North, the same tournament we were talking about with Poland. They finished 20th out of 49 teams at the Lady Vikings Invitational down there. They're back in action in EBC play next Saturday. Well, I shouldn't say EBC play, but they're at EBC opponents. They're going to be at the Top Gun over the weekend at Alliance. And that really gets us into Gary talking about the Top Gun. Alliance hosts one of the best wrestling tournaments in the area every year. And was it canceled last year or was that 2 years ago? I feel like recently it was taken off the schedule.
That I'm not sure. It was definitely taken off COVID.
Right.
Wasn't there then.
I remember when it was taken off the schedule, it was really disappointing because it was definitely one of the ones that a lot of people look forward to. It's coming up this weekend, so let's talk about that. What kind of things make the Top Gun such a really good and really strong wrestling tournament?
You got teams from all over coming in, all over the state, all over the country. With the OVAC and the Top Gun at the same weekend. I know there are probably a handful of schools at this OVAC tournament that would be at the Top Gun if it wasn't the same weekend. But it's just a premier tournament, and in the past it's been considered one of the best in the country. It's definitely still a top wrestling tournament, especially in the state. It's the best teams send their best kids there. Sometimes teams will just send one or two kids from their team to a tournament like that, just like they do with Brecksville. They do that with the Top Gun so that you can test yourself. They do it with Ironman to see where you're at. And, you find out a lot about yourself when you go to a tournament like that.
Let's also talk about the OVAC tournament that is coming up the same weekend. What are some things that we expect out of that, and what are some big names that we have to look out for?
I looked earlier. There are over 400 wrestlers. I think 419 wrestlers that will be there. That's crazy. That's like an average of 30 plus kids in each weight class. It's a 3-day tournament. It's a big deal. If you're from the Valley, it's a tournament as a wrestling fan that you look forward to every single year. It's going to be a lot of the same. There are big school West Virginia teams there that are really good. Parkersburg South's been ranked in the top 25 nationally as a team. You got teams like University from down south West Virginia. Of course, teams like Beaver Local will be there. We'll be there. East Liverpool will be there. and the EOAC joined the OVAC this year. So all the teams that are actually in the EOAC are now OVAC members. I don't think any of them decided to go to this tournament this year, but I would expect it to expand. So it'll be a bigger presence for YSN in the future, I would imagine. But today is Wednesday. It's the day before the match. We're going to try to get our weights right and try to work on some last minute things before we head down to Wheeling, tomorrow afternoon.
And then tonight we have wrestling on the network. As Alex talked about, the NEA duel start tonight. Chris Colucci will be at Gerard as South Range goes into town. So that'll be a good matchup to have on the network. And we also know that Boardman and Fitch are playing each other in a duel tonight, as well as West Branch, Jackson Milton that we just said. So it should be a fun night of wrestling. I'm sure there's a lot more going on across the area with duels starting to kick up in the conference.
Oh yeah, for sure. And you know, like I said, the season's winding down. So if you've got commitments, I know a lot of coaches, they have to get their league duels in, they're whatever mandated by the league that the school's in or the league that the wrestling team's in. So with the weather, the way it's been lately, you're going to see some people cramming to get those in. You're probably going to see duels turn into tries where there'll be 3 teams there, even quads, 4 teams. So, I think that the last 6 weeks is going to be a lot busier than normal just with the snow. And now the bitter cold is coming. There's going to probably be some buses that aren't going to start in the morning when it gets that cold.
Not only is the weather bad, but we've had a couple of basketball games, and I'm sure wrestling will be hit by this too, because inevitably we've had illness kind of come up. When the cold comes, so does the illness, and we've had a couple of basketball teams get hit with team-wide illnesses. That's a part of that's a part of winter. So you never know what'll happen there. Of course, we'll keep you up to date on cancellations and reschedulings as far as we get them. Gary, before we get out of here, exciting week because we have opened up the wrestling big dogs of the valley for Baird Brothers. We have our first week of 6 wrestlers on the poll. You can vote at ysnlive.com/big dogs. Here are the nominees for week 1: Bobby Buhite from Beaver Local. You have Aiden Stecker from Salem, Tyson Seasolts from South Range. You have from East Liverpool, Paige Cohen, Ella Thomas from Poland, and then from Louisville, Colton Rhodes from Louisville and the Leopards. So those are your first set of big dog nominees. We have a couple of girls, and a handful of guys. Gary, what are some things that pop up when you hear that list of names for week 1?
So we're not doing boys, big dog, girls, big dog. It's all one.
I think we're just mixing them in the list, so we make sure we get to hit them both. I don't think we're going 6 of each. I think we're just doing one vote with them both in the poll.
Well, you've got, heck, Buhite, Stecker, Seasolts, Rhodes. Those are great wrestlers right there.
Right.
They've all got great resumes to themselves. And then you throw in, Paige Callan, Ella Thomas, both state placers last season. That's a list of who's who really in the YSN network as far as wrestlers go.
We took a big swing in week 1, huh?
Yeah, exactly. Swing and hit the home run. Any one of them, any one of those names I could see winning the big dog. They definitely are all deserving. I will be interested to see how that one plays out.
Voting, it went live earlier this morning, and it is unlimited voting, so you can vote as many times as your thumb or fingers will let you. And it ends Sunday at midnight. So make sure to get out to ysnlive.com/big dogs. Vote for your favorite wrestlers. Girls and boys basketball are also up there as well. Vote for all of them. Sunday at midnight is when the polls close, and then we'll be back on Monday or Tuesday and announce the winners of the first week for wrestling and the 4th week for basketball. Gary, that will do it for episode 5 of Wrestling Wednesday. We are so happy to have you on every week. Thank you for coming on. And for everyone else, we will see you back next week with another guest with us on Wrestling Wednesdays. That'll be episode 6. We're gearing towards the end of the season. Ready or not, here we go. Final stretch.
Hey, it's coming fast. I'm glad to be here. Thank you guys for continuing to ask me to come back. I love doing this. It's nice to get to talk wrestling. As a coach, you're so focused on what you're doing. that you don't get to actually talk about the sport and have fun with it because you're so worried about your own team. So I appreciate you guys having me on.
You got it, Gary. Running
Thanks,
Point. We'll take a
Gary.
break. We'll be back here with a recap of last night's action and much more on Running Point after this commercial break on ysnlive.com.